Okay, you guys. So I don't feel like there has been any other pressing news this week than the debut of the 97 Demo newsletter. It's going to come in hot with that because it is hot.
Hot.
So
Off the presses.
Hot off the presses, quite literally 24 hours old-ish. But for our listeners who don't know yet, we have officially launched our 97 Demo newsletter. I was considering saying this at the end of the show. I was like, it's just too important to do that. But it's basically our individual takes. What else can we say about it? Fun commentary.
Just like whatever we want.
Literally anything, right? It's just vibes, you know?
It's about music, though.
Don't
not
bury the
literally
lead.
anything. Not literally anything.
Is music themed vibes. But this week it was really good. A lot of good variety. I wrote about WizKid. Avery wrote about Gen Z's favorite pop star, Pink Panthers.
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 I wrote about Eminem.
No, we're not going to say the name of Noah's headline, but Noah wrote a very interesting piece about Eminem. I encourage you all to read it. Grant actually also has our YouTube viewers can see that we have Grant on. Our audio listeners don't yet know, but he has a newsletter too. Also great. You should check it out. And hey, Grant.
Hi. What's it? Yeah, when you were like, the only news I can think of this week is the 97 Demo newsletter. I was thinking the same thing. That's like my Donda album cycle.
Where is the newsletter?
They
keep pushing back the newsletter.
Are you guys like all like building your childhood homes in your respective city stadiums?
Yeah, we're gonna have a live stream on Spotify.
Yeah, Apple Music, Spotify. You know, I was in Atlanta, rebuilt my.
Yeah, that was you were in the Mercedes-Benz stadium.
Yeah, exactly. That was me in the mask, guys. Like,
Kanye actually stole the idea from us.
Yeah, I thought that was me, but I thought that was Kanye, but actually.
Also, I don't even know if we have this in our new releases because it's so new, but Donda dropped.
Oh, it's in new releases.
It's there.
I put it there. I put it there. Oh yeah.
We're getting to it. Okay, but let me just say, we have Grant on for two very important reasons this week. One, because he's been working nonstop, so we just had to like get an appearance in somewhere. He's booked and busy these days, so we have to get him when we can get him. And also because we're reviewing Lorde Solar Power today, and I feel like Grant's a very good voice for that discussion. But before we get into all of that, welcome to the 97 Demo podcast, where we give you the latest in music, news, and a whole bunch along the way. I am Nnamdi Gwanwu, joined by
Noah
and Avery.
I'm Grant.
Maybe I'm the problem for saying my last name. I know I let it go for like 2 months, but I'm kind of back on that.
It's all on you.
You know, why does the world know my governments, you know?
It's all on you.
Okay, let's get into headlines. There was a lot that happened this week, so it's hard narrowing it down. But these are the three that I just feel were eye-catching. Grant, let me ask you, when Olivia Rodrigo dropped Sour, great debut album, I will say, did you get major Paramore influences throughout? Was that just something that you recognized upon first listen?
I did, yeah, but in terms of just like the whole like songwriting credit thing, I was like, everything creative is derivative. So like she just sounds like someone who grew up listening to Paramore. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like my 2 cents on it.
That's exactly how I feel. Like this feels like, to me, Good For You doesn't sound enough like Misery Business to like deserve having them as songwriters on it, but
like it sounds similar, but it's not like they're clearly different songs.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about this, so the headline this week is Olivia Rodrigo added Paramore as the songwriting credit on Good For You. And the reason why this caught my eye is I remember when we did this review distinctly saying, I get major Paramore Misery Business vibes from this song. Like specifically the chorus, like it feels, I don't know if I thought it was enough to warrant like an actual songwriting credit, but I did see like clear influence. But yeah, I wonder how this happened because Hayley Williams she went on Instagram and she put a little story saying, our publishing team is wilding right now. So maybe they weren't the ones who actually, were on them about getting this credit, but
I don't think it would have been like Hayley Williams or anything. I heard it, I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this.
It was probably a label who was like, you can get money.
Oh, it totally was like an executive. It's like, let's make money off this.
Yeah.
But like,
go ahead, Grant.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, go ahead.
This means I saw this. This means that this is like Hayley Williams' like first #1 song because of the credits that were like added.
Misery Business didn't go to number 1?
What's that? I don't think so. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that.
Crazy.
We could do the whole podcast and be like, let's Google it right now. But I think I'm pretty sure that This Is Hayley Williams' like technical verse number 1. I think. I don't know, but I think.
Wow, that's actually shocking. Have you guys heard the controversy with all this? Because I know people are just saying like, oh, she had her credit, but people are like pretty angry about this. They're saying like a lot of people are saying like Olivia Rodrigo has copied off a lot of artists, and they're saying like she's just essentially, based on what people have said online, like she essentially just stole the song from Paramore. That's what people are saying. Like I'm reading something. It says, according to Variety, a source closely involved with the proceedings claims the credit is an interpolation. Yeah, this basically means that a part of an older song was re-recorded and mixed into a newer track. So it's like, oh.
But that's music.
I got you.
I think to Grant's earlier point, like, I think so much of the hit music we have now comes from like an older song, especially like a lot of the mainstream acts we have. I think it's just more apparent with Olivia Rodrigo because she's young and she's Gen Z, and we can recognize the influences more than maybe we would, you know, when Kendrick samples the Isley Brothers, you know? Like, it's just more obvious because we know Paramore. We grew up with Paramore. So if we see a new kid on the block using the Paramore reference, we're going to immediately catch it. The thing that made this interesting to me, though, is she did this with Taylor Swift on 2 other songs. And in my opinion, I thought those were more reaches than like this.
She like New Year's Day is literally like a song from Reputation of her like just singing over like the piano line from it. And this isn't like the only thing she's like gotten like, oh, she's stealing from other artists for, because like there was like a whole thing with like Pom Pom Squad and the whole like cheerleader imagery and prom queen imagery, and it's like,
which was just like that, a Carrie, like I
was like, that's Carrie.
Yeah, so it was just Carrie
either way.
Yeah, exactly. That's where it all stems from. Like I read a piece.
Olivia Rodrigo feels like a really easy target for a lot of other artists, just because she's doing like a quote unquote throwback sound to like a 2000s thing. But I don't know.
And she's been massively successful doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it feels like
that whole like 2000s pop punk aesthetic is kind of like coming back. Like Willow Smith's like pop punk stuff with Travis Barker and like pop punk, it's kind of like becoming like in vogue again, where it's just like it's dark. It's like the number 1 song in the country is a pop punk song. Like you know what I mean? Like I feel like it's just kind of like slipping back into, I don't know if it's pastiche or I don't know if it's like, I'm like genuinely interested in pop punk, like that kind of thing, but it's definitely like resurfacing. I mean, it's always been around in terms of like larger pop conversations.
Right.
I see it getting a lot of prominence.
Did y'all also see that people are mad at Olivia Rodrigo because they think she like copied Rina Sawayama for her music video for Brutal?
No,
see that?
I didn't see it.
People are mad about
this poor girl.
Because, you know, Brutal just
getting hit from all sides.
I know. It's like, you know, she just released a music video for Brutal this past week, right?
That music video was great, by the way.
Yeah, but people were saying like, people were saying she copies Rina Sawayama's XS,
but not Rina Sawayama herself.
So,
you know.
Yeah, she hasn't said it though, so.
Yeah, because to me, her music doesn't sound like Rina Sawayama.
Oh yeah,
so they're saying the video. So this poor girl is getting hit for the songs, the artwork, the videos, her style. Like, this is ridiculous. Let Olivia Rodrigo.
You know how like
facet of her like creative vision is being like
this 18-year-old girl is just getting destroyed from everywhere.
You know how Olivia Rodrigo music video, she's like on the news and she's like like Rina Sawayama does the same thing, and people are like, oh, she's biting.
I could find 10 music videos that do that.
That's true. Yeah,
that's true. There is definitely another video that did that. But okay, y'all, we've spent enough time on Olivia Rodrigo. Let's talk about get a little Donda into the mix.
Let's go to some lighter news. Yeah.
Did you guys see this headline that Kanye, you know, this is both the most innovative and stupid headline I've seen in a minute. So Kanye is launching a Donda stem player, which is basically going to be a device that you can use to customize any of the songs on the album. Customize in the sense of like adding 808s or like, you know, playing with the production a little bit, slowing it down, that sort of thing. $200. My first question to each of you: would you buy this?
No,
not for $200.
I mean,
not for an album that not for Donda.
I mean, you could do this. There's software you could use now to do that on your own. Honestly, like
Yeah.
people do it anyway. You don't need a device to do it. So Kanye's
Also,
just making you pay for something that
I do
people
think it's
already
weird
do.
that they included a picture of Noah standing in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium right there.
Like that's me. That's me
Yeah.
there. Not Kanye. Come on, Pitchfork.
Also, by the way, you can buy a long sleeve T-shirt from Kanye's website for the same exact price for $200. So
You know, one thing about Kanye's in a hustle. Like he knows. I think Kanye is well aware of what his fan base will and won't do. And while we've said no, he's gonna have fans that buy this Donda stem player for $200 and think it's the greatest thing ever.
I will
So I
say
think that
it's
aspect feels
a cool
innovative.
concept.
Yeah,
Is Donda out? Is it even
It's out.
Have
It's
you
out.
kinda
it's
stopped-
on streaming officially this morning.
Okay, I stopped
So-
paying attention to like the news cycle. I was like, I'm tired, but like,
I tweeted 2 days ago. I was like, I'm over the album, and then it dropped today, and I was like, okay, but I'm still listening. So it's
No.
not like- I didn't think it was actually gonna drop. You know,
Wow, man. Of course it drops on Sunday too.
yeah,
of
it had
course.
to drop on us.
Of course.
so we'll have much more on Donda during our actual review. But I guess the last headline for us, equally sort of insane. This Nirvana baby story has blown my mind, and I have like officially gotten deep in the rabbit hole. But Nirvana is one of their more classic covers. Was for their third album, Nevermind. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yes.
it
Love
is
it
their
when I'm
second
right.
album though.
Second album, damn it, almost. Second album, Nevermind. And the album cover is basically a baby with his, completely new baby chasing a dog.
Everyone knows it.
Everyone
Yeah,
knows it,
it's
right?
like
Well,
one of the most famous album covers.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
didn't recognize that it was a Nirvana cover, but I've seen that cover, so that sort of speaks to like
Oh yeah.
everyone has seen this cover.
Yeah.
Well, the baby on that cover is suing 30 years later, and the story's hilarious to me because he's doing it. I think he talked to the New York Times, and he was like, "Oh, well, I had an art show, and like they wouldn't come or something, or like I got red tape from them," and it's like, am I really
Mind
that
you-
important to them?
Yeah, because they recognize you, like you're the Nirvana baby. As soon as you walk in the room.
Mind you, that this kid he's recreated it in his adult life.
Yeah, he did.
He's like recognized it as like something important that he's done.
He has Nevermind.
It is something important.
He has it
Nevermind
tattooed on him.
Yeah.
Like
It is something important, but yeah.
it's
This-
just funny. Like it's just
It is kind of funny because first when you read the headline, the first thing I saw was, Nirvana baby. Baby on Nirvana album is suing the group for child pornography, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah. That was
I
like,
thought
whoa,
I
what
thought
is-
something. I was like, yo, what happened? Like, what
The
happened
fact
on that
that
photo
the-
shoot?
the fact that the headline has to refer to him as the naked baby on the Nirvana
a naked baby.
like, tells you everything you need to know.
But I think the interesting thing about this is apparently he says his parents were only paid $200 at the time, or something around that ballpark for the picture. At the time this happened, he was quoted saying he hasn't received any royalties though, and he's doing this to chase a check. And you guys, I can't say though the vengeance aspect of this is ridiculous because clearly you still made this your identity. I can't say I'm opposed to this man chasing a bag.
I'm not either, to be honest. Like, think about how much money that is. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
if he only got $200, then I didn't know that part, but
Yeah.
I mean
That's
that's
the-
what
you
he's
gotta do what you
doing.
gotta
He's
do,
just
but-
trying to get money.
That's the tough part because like technically Nirvana didn't do anything wrong because they compensated them for that's the tough part about them. But like obviously the album became like a classic of classics. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like one of the most recognized album covers in history.
What is
So-
this?
It's pretty insane.
The suit alleges that all were involved in making child pornography and benefited from, quote, the sex trafficking venture and Spencer's exploitation. That was the distribution of Nevermind. That is wild.
Wow. I mean, if his
but
parents
hey.
approve though,
It's just kind of weird because he's like trying to distance himself from it, but he's also like
he's-
tethering himself
exactly,
to it at the
exactly.
same time. Like,
exactly.
It's really interesting because he says, look at this line. Eldon says he has never received any financial compensation. So whatever his parents got, that wasn't him. And I can't say I'm opposed to that way of thinking.
Nah.
I get it's a ridiculous suit, but that cover is too famous for the baby who's on it to not at least get a trust fund out of it or like
yes, actually.
college
I
fund
agree.
set up, like
I agree.
something.
I mean, he's
Dude,
30.
if I
He's
were
30.
this baby, I'd be like, "Where's my money?" He's literally
Right?
chasing $1 on the album cover.
They didn't have that.
Literally, that's right. He's literally chasing the album, $1 on the
The
album.
baby
cover,
chasing it, yeah.
so, yeah.
Alright.
So
Okay, well, we'll see how that ends up. I foresee that ending out with a settlement. But Grant, you've also been working a whole bunch. You've been doing a ton of reviews, including your first Pitchfork review, which was exciting. So I want to do a little speed round. I'm gonna bring up a different review, have you talk about it a little bit, and then tell us what I don't know if you did scores for all of these, but tell us what your final like impression scores, if you had to, were. So the first were Big Red Machine's newest collaboration album. How long do you think it's gonna last? Tell us about it. What was the score?
Yeah, so this is the second Big Red Machine album. It's like the super group of Aaron Dessner from The National and Justin Vernon from Bon Iver. And for this one, so their first one was it wasn't isolated, but it was mostly just the two of them kind of making like weird like anti songs. Like there was seldom a chorus on that first album, so like just to put it that way. But this one is a lot more tactile. Like this one, there are choruses everywhere. There's Taylor Swift is here. Robin Pecknold from Fleet Foxes is here. Ben Howard, this is the kid. They're like, this thing is like filled to the brim with guests.
Avengers.
Yeah, it's like the Avengers of like big indie. But I think just like the fact that Taylor Swift is on two of these songs kind of blows my mind still. Just I can't believe that happened. But yeah, I really enjoyed this album. I gave it like the green score, which for Spin is like good to excellent, which I would probably go with like good, because sometimes it runs a little long. It's like over an hour, and sometimes like it feels a little disjointed with all like the collaborations. It can feel unfocused, but like overall, I still think this is a really solid record. And plus, like if you were into like The National or Bon Iver, especially like the more recent stuff, like I Am Easy to Find or like I like I think that like this is probably like it'll be in the ballpark for you.
So you think people would be happy with this overall?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
If you like Big Red Machine, if you like The National, Bon Iver, you would probably like it.
Got you. Dope.
Now we're going.
Avery, let's go to his Laura Stevenson review next. I put the wrong link here, but
oh, that's all right.
His first Pitchfork one, which is still exciting. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, this was a ton of fun.
How did this happen? I've given so much scrutiny to Pitchfork reviews, so it's kind of cool to have someone who was on the other side of that. So I'm sort of, in addition to what this album is about, what is the process for a Pitchfork review? And did you come up with this score, or is there someone else that does?
Yeah, so in terms of like just Pitchfork reviews, like I just pitched the album's editor, Jeremy Larson, and then he got back to me and said yes. I was like, oh, he responded. But yeah, he said, yeah, and then so I wrote the review, and then I got edits. So with a Pitchfork review, they tell you to like include like a score range, and this was lower than what I tried to give it, but yeah. So usually I feel like writers don't actually like choose the score. In terms of Pitchfork, at least, you don't actually choose the score. Like Paste, I choose the score, but this I did not. You just kind of give a range. It's like here's what I'm thinking. But the interesting thing is that when you write for Pitchfork for the first time, they send you like this really extensive like Google Doc of like a score rubric and like what they kind of mean and all that, which I thought was interesting. So they're like, yeah, like a 9 to 10, that's like a masterpiece, like will be important 10 to 20 years from now. 8.5 to 9, that's going to be like important like 5 to 10 years from now. And like this score, that's kind of like the ballpark of like they call it like best of class. So like this Laura Stevenson, like self-titled, will probably be like one of the best like indie rock albums of the year. But I would personally put it somewhere like in my top 20. That's
such an interesting way to think about like scores, because like when I think about an album that's like 9 to 10, I don't think, oh my gosh, we're gonna go back to this 30 years from now and be like, oh my gosh, it's
Yes,
I don't think about it like that. I just like, oh, in the moment, it feels like a.
But that really helps me understand Pitchfork scoring a little more. I wish more publications were either post a rubric or transparent, because honestly, that insight, it's like, okay, I can understand why you may have given that album that I thought was really good a 6.5, maybe because it was good now, but in 10 years, will we be talking about it? Probably not. Like, I get it. That's really interesting.
Yeah, but scores, like, it's not usually up to the writer.
Gotcha.
You just kind of write it, and then the institution of Pitchfork will give it what it wants to, give it the score that it wants to.
And one thing you reviewed that you gave a really high score, Glow On by Turnstile. You called it their most fully realized work yet. So tell us about that project.
Rules. It's so good. I've been listening to this thing all weekend still. I'm not tired of it. So Turnstile, they're kind of like a hardcore punk band, but honestly, they do more than that. I don't know if I would call them genre defined, but they do. Like, they really have like a Latin drum beat in one of their songs. They have like all this auxiliary percussion, like cowbells and woodblocks, and there's like a timbali breakdown at the end of one of the songs. Like, they're doing a lot of really different things. Blood Orange is on this. He's on like a few songs. Julian Baker's on it. Like, in terms, like, this is probably, it's gonna be a strong album of the year contender for me. It just feels like, because they've had 2 or 3 other albums before this, and this one I think is kind of like they've reached what they've always been trying to do. And so for that reason, I think it's like their most successful work yet, because it's like them at their most elevated form. And they're showing like what you can do within hardcore. Like, they're expanding the scope of like what you can do within that genre while still paying like homage to it and not like losing sight of like why you're listening to them to begin with.
I'm interested to listen to this album just based off the, like, you know, because I follow so many, like, you know, music artists and music writers and whatnot, and everybody was tweeting about Turnstile the other day. It was like, oh my gosh, Turnstile, this is the album. Barty Strange was tweeting about it. Obviously Grant wrote about it, and all these who's who of, like, you know, people in the music industry are tweeting about how this is such an amazing album. So
yeah, this album, just within like the nebulous confines of music writer Twitter, is like, it's like blowing up. Like, everybody's talking about it. Like, I feel like even people who I normally don't see really listening to like hardcore or punk or what have you, just losing their mind over this. And
yeah,
honestly,
that's
like,
what I saw.
Yeah, and like hearing like Dev Hynes like sing over like big booming drums and distorted guitars is so interesting to hear. But what something I didn't know, and I read Ian Cohen's Pitchfork review of Glow On, is that Dev Hynes used to play in a punk band called Test Icicles. And I didn't know that he did that, which is funny for me to think about, because he seems so like kind of calm and, you know, introverted. I was like, wow, he played in a band called Test Icicles.
That's really funny. I always appreciate your reviews. They tend to lean more like indie rock, hard, you know, hardcore rock, I guess, if that's what this is considered. And we lean rap, so I just like being able to widen my scope. And I can always do that with a good Grant album suggestion. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
But okay, let's keep the music going. New releases. Let's fly through these just because I'm really excited about the review. And I guess let's just talk about the biggies, right? Donda obviously is top of mind for most. Has anyone actually listened to it? Because it's 2 hours long, like an hour and 48 minutes.
I'm on
2 hours?
It's hour 44, so basically.
Oh my God.
I literally,
I'm almost done.
Before coming on the podcast, I'm on track 24. There's 26 tracks. I'm on track 24.
Wait, what is 24? 20.
Okay, part 2.
Yeah, same. That's what I'm on.
I'm on
wow.
I think I'm smack dab in the middle.
Yeah, so.
And okay, well, I mean,
tracks.
You guys have listened to most. Any first we're probably going to review this next week, but any first impressions you two have?
Solid.
Avery?
I mean, it's solid. I mean, I don't know how to digest a almost 2 hour long album.
Yeah.
Like right now. So like just the word that comes to mind at the moment is just like, it's solid.
You like it?
It's solid for me too. Avery, do you like it? Do you like it, Avery? Oh, do you like it?
I like it. Right. Upon first listen, I like it.
I gotta finish the last couple songs, but to me, I'm with you, Avery. It's solid. It's not a song I like.
Yeah.
It's not a song I hate yet, but you know, I think that's what I might write about, like, you know, album links, because like this is getting ridiculous. And y'all know me, I bang the drum of long. I'll be like, no, this album's 20 minutes long. I'll be like, ugh. But then y'all want to give me an hour 44 for an album. So There's nothing I hate though. There's nothing I hate, so that's a good sign.
I can just already tell this is probably an album that if he could have refined it by 10 tracks would have been amazing.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Amazing. But it's always the bigger artists who think they don't have to. And I'm like, dude, make this a pleasurable listening experience. Like an hour and 44 minutes. Kanye.
And you know, I've heard people make the argument like, oh, what if every song's good? That still doesn't matter to me because like,
well, you know
That's
no.
It's like a playlist at this point. It feels like a playlist.
It is, but still too long. No, it's not a play. It's an album. No, we can't give
I
him
know
that,
it's an
man.
album.
It's not a
It feels
playlist.
like a playlist just how long it is.
Avery, I get what you're saying. It's the streaming algorithm.
Yeah, true.
Which I
But-
hate.
Yeah,
no,
but
not for your 10th album, Kanye. Like I needed a quality over quantity, and we may have a quantity of quality songs, maybe.
No.
But I'm really big on albums feeling like a body of like a cohesive body of work. It's one of the things I look for in an album that I listen to, and I just think it's hard to do that when your album is 2 hours long.
even if every song's good, I still think you kind of make it run dry if you just make it go for too long. Because then there's still some songs where you can cut. There's certain parts of songs you can cut. I mean, a lot of songs are like over 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? There's second parts of songs. There's parts you could have cut to make it shorter. You know what I'm saying? If that one was like an hour and 10, I'd be like, oh, still long, but more digestible. You know what I'm saying? So even if every song is quality, hour 44. It's like that
So
blue
long.
album, guys.
I
You'll
haven't
hear
even
more of our-
listened to it, and that's too long.
It is. It's long. But we're gonna force ourselves to listen to it multiple times because we're probably gonna talk about it more next week. So stay tuned for that. I'm gonna talk about WizKid. He put out a Made in Lagos Deluxe today, and I wrote about just how Essence is like this huge song in our newsletter. And I think he did a deluxe the way you're supposed to do a deluxe. He waited a year-ish, waited for the right moment. He has a song that's now really kind of catching steam in the US of, that's Essence. And now he's trying to maximize on that by putting out an extra 3 tracks. Don't give me another album. Don't give me another 20 tracks a day after, like Lil Uzi did. This is how you do a deluxe. Make it feel like something special. Make it make sense. I'm hoping this deluxe will give him a higher charting position on the Billboard 200 because I'm assuming that's probably the goal of this deluxe release. But it's solid. Anyone who wants to get into Afrobeat, this is a good place to start because it has more of an R&B feel to it as well. So that's what I'll shout out.
There was I just want to shout out all the albums because I know we're not going to get to them. West Side Gun put on an album, Halsey, Churches, Lil Tecca, Grip, Belly, Jaden, and Gorillaz put out an EP. So that's a lot of releases.
There's a ton of releases. Which one do you want to talk about though?
Honestly, the thing I want to talk about is that single, Family Ties, Baby Keem and Kendrick Lamar. A lot of people, I feel like Kendrick Lamar's kind of taking all the spotlight, but I think Baby Keem was great on this track.
You had to know that was going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. But I think Baby Keem was incredible. I mean, the song is like 4 songs. It's like 5 beat switches. Like, it's pretty insane, but I really enjoyed that song. I was with you guys when I listened to it. Avery saw my live reaction. I was pretty freaking hype. So it's a great track. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I haven't heard it yet, but I'd like to.
Yeah, I love Kendrick helping out his baby cousin's rap career. It's very nice.
That's really what this
Baby
was.
Keem.
That's what it felt like.
Baby Keem is Kendrick Lamar's cousin. Yeah. So
I have to shout out these Casey Musgrave songs. My Texas Queen.
Yeah.
Follow up to the album of the year a couple of years ago.
How'd you feel about these songs?
I loved them. Like, I mean, I feel like I'm like a Casey Musgrave stan, but I really love them.
Yeah,
and she
I
announced
do love her. I
a
love
very Beyonce-esque, movie coming
Beehive
out.
status for Casey Musgraves.
Well, she's doing like a movie.
Beyonce.
Yeah.
She's doing
Yeah.
because she's doing a movie with the songs like Lemonade.
Oh.
And there's
So
a
it's
lot
a
of
visual type of thing.
famous people in the movie too.
There's a trailer and everything, and then
wow.
this first song, Starcross, the first single she came out with, is like literally the first lines are "Let me set the scene." So it's like I kind of got chills when she started singing. It was great. I really love it. It's like some
I
Spanish
missed
guitar
her.
in there.
Yeah.
It was great. I missed her too.
I'm curious.
Yeah,
I haven't heard the album yet, and I am curious to hear the full thing.
You said it's coming out soon. It's coming out like in the next 2-3 weeks.
It's
too,
coming
right?
2
out.
weeks. September 10th. So
I forgot if
2
it
weeks
was
from
you,
now.
Grant, who
2 weeks
tweeted
from this
it,
weekend.
or someone that you retweeted. They're like, she put all the freelance
Oh
reviewers,
yeah,
writers in disarray.
Yeah, because I saw that, I was like, damn it. Like, I was like, I'm excited, but could you have like made me wait more? Like, I'm not gonna write about it. It's also like it's a divorce album, and I get married the week after. So I'm like, I don't know if I should do this.
Yeah, maybe not that.
Casey Musgraves got divorced. That sucks.
Yeah. Maybe if you're available, Grant, we can review it, and you can come and that can be.
I'm down.
That'll be fun.
We'll be playing Golden Hour, several songs from Golden Hour at our wedding.
Yeah, I'd probably be happier for you on that week.
You know, I will never forget the day she won album of the year for that album.
I was with Avery.
More of a cultural division on like the timeline of like half my timeline being like, "Oh my God, she deserved it. It's amazing." And
Who is Casey Musgraves?
Who is Casey Musgraves?
Who is she? What is she?
Dude, that's like when Arcade Fire won album of the year. And
Oh
Barbara
my gosh.
Streisand was like, the suburbs.
Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah.
I guess one more single I'm gonna call out. One, JoJo put out a single. Y'all know I like JoJo. Just real quick. And then has anyone listened to this BTS Meg Thee Stallion collab that almost didn't happen?
Yeah.
Because her label tried to block it, and then it did happen.
Why didn't this come out in May? Like, this is like a
Yeah.
summer song.
Yeah, it's about to
Maybe
be
she
fall.
didn't
Like,
clear it.
I know. It just should have. This felt like it should have come out before the summer started.
yeah, I agree. But I think it don't matter. It's it's not gonna matter because BTS stands are gonna make
They're
sure this
huge.
album gets to number one.
It's a good song.
So-
It's definitely gonna. This song is definitely gonna probably. I don't know if it'll get back to number one, but it'll definitely get
Top
higher. Top
Mhm.
three.
You have
probably.
those two forces together. Like, that's
Yeah.
destined to chart.
Anything's possible at that point.
I totally agree.
Okay, well that's on the releases. We've had an expedited, or not expedited, a longer first half to the show.
If you
but
watch
now
on
this is the
YouTube,
moment
you can see all the new
we've been waiting
releases.
for sure. But this is the moment we've been waiting for, right, Avery? You're like your
Yeah, let's
queen
get it.
is back.
Avery quote. This is Avery's quote. This is my Super Bowl.
This was my Super Bowl.
That's
Quote
a quote.
unquote.
Quote unquote. That's Avery said
This
that
was
word
my
for
Super
word.
Bowl.
This is my Super Bowl.
All right, Avery,
So-
take it away.
I've gathered us all here today to celebrate our Lord.
It's Sunday. It's
And it's Sunday.
Oh,
on this fine Sunday
that deserves some claps right there, or some snaps or
Thank
something.
you.
That was pretty good.
to review Lord, her third album and first one in 4 years. I guess I don't know how else to set this up. I'm a stan. Other than, can I get all of y'all's initial thoughts upon first listen of Solar Power by Lorde?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, here's the thing about Lorde. She made like amazing albums, I think, in Pure Heroine and Melodrama, right? And part of the allure was this like super deep, insightful, vulnerable songwriting that was just jam-packed with emotion. I still play Rider in the Dark when I'm in my feelings on repeat. Last weekend I had that song on repeat. Like, that's just how good her stuff is still. And I think just by nature of solar, like of what the theme of Solar Power is, you're just not gonna get that. And once you accept that you're getting an album that's way more like, you know, just relaxed and like calmer and a little bit more maybe superficial and not as like, you know, hardcore vulnerable, you know, once you accept that, it's not bad, you know, by any means. It's just maybe not what you were hoping to get from like a melodrama Lorde, you know.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Nnamdi on that. Like, I love Melodrama. I really enjoy Pure Heroine too, but this didn't quite reach that level of enjoyment for me, just from the standpoint of like, I feel like the production and the arrangements on those first two records is much more suited to like Lorde's, I don't know, not ethos, but just kind of like her general like sound and aura, like the kind of like dark pop like aesthetic that she crafted with Melodrama, like Perfect Places, The Louvre, like songs like that. I feel like Melodrama is her best album, and it also has her best songs. And this to me, just, it's super low key, but it's almost kind of too low key to do anything for me, where I just kind of feel like meh at the end of listening to it. I've listened to it a few times now, and I want to hear like some bangers, and this doesn't really have a lot of bangers. You know what I mean? Like Melodrama and Pure Heroine had bangers, and this just didn't for me.
I'm gonna be serious. Okay, I'm gonna be serious. Honestly, So you guys know this is not necessarily the music I listen to. It doesn't really appeal to me. So I'm gonna be as fair as possible. I mean, I think that's a
disclaimer
fair...
you do every time. Just talk.
Well, yeah, but I don't want to come in here and be like, oh, it sucks. Okay, I don't think it sucks. But honestly, I'm kind of like with you, Grant. It was very, very, very low key, very low key, and y'all know me with these alternative indie albums with this sound. I need a change of pace throughout the album for me to stay locked in. You know what I'm saying? And a couple times on here, there was a change of pace. I mean, I don't know if we want to get into specific songs yet, but
not his first impressions.
First impressions. Okay. Yeah, there wasn't enough change of pace on here for me to keep me locked in. I don't think the lyrics are bad. I've heard some people, criticize the lyrics. I don't think they're necessarily bad. I think she has good lyrics, but just the sound of it was a little too low key, and a little very, very, very monotone throughout the album. And it just all felt like it blended together for me personally. So that was my first impression, first listen.
Yeah. No, you bring up an interesting point with the lyrics, because like a lot of the criticisms I've seen of the lyrics, or it's like, is Lorde doing a bit, or is she like earnest about this? Like, what is it? Mood Ring, the song about like wellness culture and like yoga and essential oils and whatnot. Like, where it's like, is she had to explain that it was satire, and I'm like, if you have to explain that it's satire and it's not like readily apparent that it is just from like listening to the song itself, then I'm like, I don't know if you're quite achieving what you're intended to do. But I will say there are some songs on this that I enjoy, like The Path. I like because Matt Chamberlain is like a monster session drummer, and I think that was the right move. Like, I wanted to hear more percussion on this. I feel like there was like...
I agree. I'm so with you.
Yeah.
I'm so with you. That was exactly my point. When The Path, those drum breaks or the percussions on there, whatever that was being used, I'm assuming there was live instrumentation on here. I'm assuming.
Yeah, those were the drummer.
Yeah, those were the best parts of the album for me, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
But the bizarre thing about that though is like The Path is the first song on this album. So I don't think you're ever in a good place of like, you listen to The Path and then you hear Solar Power, which I love Solar Power. I know that people had mixed feelings about it. I was fully bought into Solar Power. I love the delayed gratification of the chorus. I love how it sounds. But you get that, and then like those two songs are some of the most like dynamic on the album. So it's like after that, it's like you're not getting that many more high points. I love Mood Ring. There's songs in here that I think sound amazing, and I think that's like a big thing about this album. When you're listening to it, in my opinion, it sounds like a good album. I'm not sure I think Lorde can make a bad album. I love California. Throwing at the Nail Salon is cool. Yeah, it's more tongue-in-cheek. Yeah, it's not as deep. Yeah, it's just like relaxed by its nature of the album, but that's sort of the point of it. But the problem with that is when you get to the end of it, it doesn't really leave an impact because of that, like because of the nature of the album, because she wants it to be this like relaxed, summery, like super low key sort of album. Every time I finish listening to it, I struggle to remember how I felt about it. And I've never felt that way about a Lorde album.
Part of what made Melodrama so good is like the variation in the instrumentals and kind of like the experimental sound she worked with. I think of like Hard Feelings and Loveless, where she had those like metallic, like someone hitting metal against metal, and it sounded really cool. There's nothing like that on this album. Like, to Noah's point, everything, like by the time you get to the end, everything kind of does feel like it blended together. Like she leaned really hard into this one sound, and it did not make any, like most of the songs on here like stand out.
Yeah, the weird
but was
thing,
the
though,
point
like,
to have no standout songs? That's where I am with it. Was that what she was striving to do?
I think
would any artist strive to do that?
No,
I don't know. Just like from standout songs, like you're saying, this album is very like samey. It's very homogenous. I'm like, this Solar Power as an album to me is like destined to be like anodyne background music. Like,
yeah,
when
I
you
was really
listen
thinking
to,
like,
like,
yes,
when you listen to like
yes.
Melodrama and Pure Heroin, that is not background music. That grabs your attention and you are listening to it. But this, like, if you're at like a party or something and this comes on, you're like, oh, that's nice, and then you continue on. But when
it's amazing
when a
background
song from
music.
Melodrama comes on, everybody's like, oh, okay. Like,
yes.
Nnamdi, I kind of disagree. There were standout songs because I agree with you guys. A lot of the album was samey when there was like more of an upbeat tone in terms of like the production, like The Path, I think, and Leader of a New Regime, I actually thought was pretty good with like the drums that were using there. That was when I was like, oh, okay, we're getting somewhere. Okay. It's just there wasn't enough of that on there for me to keep, for me to like kind of, differentiate songs,
Even
like other than like the
Fruit.
content of the albums. Yeah,
Fallen
I
Fruit,
love
where like
Fallen
that
Fruit.
bass kicks in and she's like gets like whispery and she's like from the Nissan to the Phantom to the Flame.
And when I say standout, probably was like the wrong word.
That was harsh.
I just mean there's no like hits.
yeah.
To Grant's point, like not
no
stand-
bangers. There's
stand
no
out in the
Holy
sense of like
Dynamite
a
on here,
banger,
right?
a song that like you hear and you remember because of how different it is from the rest. Like
Or how
everything
catchy.
has a similar, like a catchy, hooky, like there's not that on this album. Now on the other side of that, there are songs that I really do enjoy. Like, yeah, they don't sound that different from the other songs of the album, but I think are like, I love California. I love the hook on that. I love Fallen Fruit. I love Mood Ring. I think Mood Ring could have easily been, well, it was the second single. It sounds like it would have been the second or the third single, whatever.
Yeah.
I think it ends. I don't know what you guys feel about Oceanic Feeling. I thought that was a weird place to end.
I love it.
I actually thought that was a nice closer.
I always have the unpopular opinions with this stuff.
I
It's
really
always
love that
me.
song.
It's always like I'm the problem.
I don't, because like here's the thing, like none of these songs will crack my like top 10 Lorde favorite songs.
I
Yeah.
agree.
But like Oceanic Feeling, I feel like if you're gonna pick any of these to close it, I feel like that's the way to go. It just feels like the perfect like note to end.
I'm shocked nobody has talked about Big Star because I think that's one of my favorite songs just based off like what she was talking about.
It's so sad.
It's sad, but it's one of my favorite songs because then like you're listening to it, you're like, oh, she's talking about a guy, da da da. And then I'm like reading what it's about. It's about her dog that died a couple years ago. And it's like, I'm a dog lover. Avery's a dog lover. I mean, we all love dogs. I'm hoping, Grant, you love dogs?
Yeah, I have 2 dogs.
Oh,
so-
great. See, it's like, I like cats.
I remember she
I'm
talked
allergic to
about
cats.
during her 4-year hiatus at some point, she basically said like the album's gonna take a little longer because my dog passed away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time to
Oh.
grieve.
Yeah,
Like,
and
this is that song kind of reminiscing on that. And so I because of that, like the concept of that song, I enjoyed it a lot.
I enjoyed it a lot. She was like, I cheated on you. Everybody wants to take pictures with. It's like, oh, it's really cute, and I really enjoyed that. So that was the song that hit close to home based off the lyrics. So that's like where I kind of this one song, but I thought the songwriting was really good on there based on like what she was talking about. And it's
if
crazy.
you write a song about your dog, that is kind of a win for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
exactly. Like, how do you lose?
And
Yeah.
she's not the first person to see her do that either. Like Japanese Breakfast, Michelle Zauner wrote "In Hell" for her dog when they passed, and then Claro wrote Joni after her dog.
Chris Stapleton did one about his dog. Like, yeah, I'm with you. It's an easy win, but it's a good one.
You
So.
know what I'm shocked no one has brought up yet is the Robin spoken word
Okay.
feature.
Well, I was gonna bring this up. So
when she's a flight attendant. Yeah.
So melodrama has a concept, right? Of like you see your ex at a party, and that's pretty clear throughout the album. And I think she executes it really well. And I think this album is supposed to have a concept of, she's like this renewed person because of these experiences she's had. There's a like we said, a big wellness bit to it. To me, throughout this album, the concept was pretty flimsy. And that didn't peak with me more than like when Grant's talking about this Robin spoken word poem where I'm like, where did this come from? Like, what am I listening to? I don't know what the point of this is.
I don't even. You go first.
Oh, sorry. It's so like schmaltzy to me that I kind of have to appreciate it.
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie.
What song is it on again?
I think it's Secrets from a
Yeah,
Girl
Secrets from a
Who
Girl.
Said
It's at the end.
All,
It's at
or
the
is it
end.
The man with the
It's at the
Yeah, here you go.
yeah, it
it's
is.
at the end.
It is.
Yep. Secrets from a Girl. Yeah.
It's so
Which is a good song, by the
unbelievably
way.
corny.
Song.
And I'm like, this is kind of funny. Like your emotional baggage can be picked up at carousel number 2. Like, come on.
That was good. I like that part, and I
Yeah.
like the little guitar breaker thing they were doing, like.
Oh, and then she's like, please be careful so it doesn't fall onto someone you love.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I like that. I
I appreciate the corniness of it. To be honest.
My internet connection's unstable, so I don't know if I should talk.
No, talk. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead. We got
And
you.
if I cut out, you know why. But I will say to the theme part, I do wonder if I often feel like when we're judging Lorde's music, I underestimate how much the fact that she is from New Zealand and not American plays into a part. So songs like California and Secrets from a Grove Scene at all, they do sort of like connect to this theme of like rumination based on past experiences of like the emotional baggage thing. I kind of get that from the perspective of like, this could be like, at least in this song, the narrative of this song, like Secrets from a Grove Scene at all, the experiences I've gained, traveling the world, heartbreak, all this stuff, and why this outro may then make sense. But I will say it still sort of did feel like a weird tack on, and like the attempt to like build this narrative that wasn't really super duper strong to begin with. So like I see how it comes off as corny. I like the song though. I love the hook of the song though.
The song's solid. You know, Avery mentioned about like, you know, how melodrama had a concept, but this doesn't really have a concept. You know, sometimes I feel like people like if an album doesn't have a concept, it's bad. You know, some people say that. You know, every album doesn't have to be a concept, but I do agree the themes were just too loosely like nothing really to connect through the songs. Like it doesn't have to be a concept. Like everything doesn't have to be about one experience. I'm saying is like
I think there's supposed to be a concept here, and I just like it's hard to put together what that concept is.
Yeah, I got you.
I think the concept, because like Solar Power came out and it's like, is this Midsummer? Like the music video.
Oh
like
my gosh!
then,
I was gonna say that.
I
did not want to get killed for saying
her cult,
that.
like Lorde's like weird sun cult.
Does this feel like this should be on Midsummer? Yeah. I was gonna say that. Oh my gosh!
I've seen a lot of comparisons to that, but then like Mood Ring and Secrets or Stoned at the Nail Salon. I mean, like the two other singles, like it's like because the Stoned at the Nail Salon, that was the second single, and then Mood Ring came out, and she's like, "Oh, by the way, it's satire," and it's like, okay, why are you telling us this now?
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
when you have to,
I thought you were like, I just thought you were happy, like songs.
Yeah, but it's like like you were talking about, like the themes feel so loosely thrown together. They feel very haphazard. Like it's like she is simultaneously not leaning hard enough into them at all, and then she is also like weirdly leaning into them, but in a really like weird, like unclear way. I don't know how to explain that, but
and
like
I do want to say, like, when I say a concept album, I don't always think a concept album has to be like a plot. You know, I love albums that do that, but a concept album, the concept of this album could have just been the whole summery vibe and like more relaxed, less nuanced. Like that alone in itself is a concept. So it doesn't have to be like Halsey's doing a whole thing based off like, you know, the pain and dangers of pregnancy. Not everything has to be that.
Yeah, for sure.
But to you guys' point, and actually this is a point that I'm turning into a question. Do you feel like because Lorde found so much success from such a young age with these sort of moody, angsty, like, you know, vulnerable, darker sort of sounds, that she felt some sort of pressure to make an album that felt like an opposite? And is that why we got this?
I don't know if she felt some sort of pressure, but I've seen this trend with like big pop stars lately. Like the Billie Eilish record, Happier Than Ever, that was very much like a reckoning with fame, angsty, you know, kind of album. And this to me, well, also the Claro album, that was kind of like a reckoning with fame thing too. It's like the spotlight is on me, and instead of going all out, I'm gonna recede inward and make my quiet album.
Anna did that too with Chemtrails.
Chemtrails, yeah. And
there's a common theme with all these albums, by the way.
Well,
they're all produced by the same guy.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's a problem if it's just done well. And you know, going to Grant's point, like a lot of these songs, like a lot of the things she's saying just aren't super clear. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, you know, there's other lyrics that you're like, oh, you get, but like sometimes you're just like, it's not really clear. But like, if you read the lyrics, even you're like, what is she talking about there? Like, so I don't think, even though she did that, and we're making all these comparisons to other artists like Billie Eilish, Claro, and all that, but if it was done, I don't know the exact word, but if the point she was making on this album were a lot more clear, I think it would have made it a more cohesive project, and it wasn't for me. So I don't know. I don't hate this album though.
What I put together after the many listens was that it seems like she's singing from the perspective of someone who's on the other side of this wellness thing, trying to convince you to come along with her, right? But that wasn't
Solar Power.
so clear after like 1 or 2 listens, which I feel like if you're trying to do a concept like that, it should be fairly clear after a couple listens.
Yeah. So, and we also have to take into account, like, we're in the United States, you know, COVID's running rampant. She's in New Zealand, and like they get one I mean, in New Zealand there's one COVID case in the country, and they lock down the whole country. So
but she has said the album's partly expired by her being in New Zealand and like you know, taking time away, and like the New Zealand suns and hills and beaches and water. And
I mean, just look at like the visual iconography with this, like on the beach, a lot of yellow, sunshine, pristine, glittering water. It's like
exactly.
Yeah, it's like I wanted the album to feel that way, because that's the iconic, like, you know, that's the look, that's the aesthetic, and I wish the album felt as like summery, sunny, vibrant as
it should have went harder.
I thought it would.
I
thought Solar Power was going to be the start of this album that was like, you know, some like vibrant, that was so much more vibrant than some of her past work, and it wasn't. It was like the ceiling, and everything else was sort of like under that.
Kind of like,
there's a disconnect there for me.
Kind of piggybacking off of that, what did you guys think of the kind of like 2000s pop thing she's doing on a few of these songs?
I was gonna bring that up.
It's very like Natasha Bedingfield.
Colby Catlett. I said, who was I talking to? I was like, I don't know what Colby Catlett's albums sound like, but I feel like it would sound like this. I don't remember who.
Secrets from a Girl Seen It All reminds me of like a Natasha Bedingfield song, or like what's another one? Mood Ring even sounds like a 2000s pop song, which like no one's really making music like that anymore, at least popularly.
Yeah.
So what did you guys think of that?
Yeah, it's very like adult contemporary.
Yeah.
Like it's very like, I don't know. It's like what you would hear like on the radio in like the early 2000s, kind of like the, I don't know, what's the Cherry Tree song?
It makes me feel like I was like driving to elementary school again.
Yeah, that's exact. Yeah, very true. But I feel like she could have
maybe this is just what
leaned harder into it.
I agree.
Maybe this is just what mature Lorde sounds like. We also do, I think, underestimate the fact that her first album, she was 15. Melodrama, 19 is a very melodramatic age.
She and I are the same age. Like she's 22.
Yeah.
So.
Maybe this is like what more experienced, mature, well-traveled Lorde is gonna give us. Like this more adult, contemporary, less like angsty.
I don't know if it's fair to just say like what she's gonna give us, because like there's breaks so much, like, you know, so many breaks between her albums. Like she's growing so much in between these albums. She's gonna be in such a different headspace by the time her next album comes out. You know what I'm saying? Like Melodrama came out, when did it come out, guys? 4 years ago? 2017. Yeah. That's like such a long time. Like people graduated from that time. In that time span,
I wasn't in college when that.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. So
exactly. That's almost my bigger point. I feel like that's almost my bigger point. Despite there being like a gap between Pure Heroine and Melodrama, to me, Melodrama felt like a better version of Pure Heroine, like a more concise,
I agree,
better version. Okay. This doesn't feel connected to those. This is like the start of like a different.
I can appreciate that though. I can appreciate the different.
I do appreciate that. I just wonder if she'll continue
through 3 albums.
Yeah, you know what? I will give Lorde credit where it's due for trying something new.
Yeah,
because I think it's made for a really interesting album cycle, and I am curious to see how people's opinions will shift on this like 4 or 5 years from now. If people will look back on this as like her flop, or if people will be like, "Whoa, it was so underrated," you know, like that kind of thing. Like I'm curious to see where it's gonna go.
Yeah,
I can see like a cult following.
I mean, hey, the Midsummer cult following.
Yeah, exactly. Like 5 years, people are like, "This is a masterpiece."
Oh my gosh, I feel like I'm already seeing that now, but for the most part, I'm seeing a lot of people kind of feel similarly, because nobody's hating it. Nobody's saying, "Oh my God, it's just bad."
I am.
You've seen people that say it's bad?
I've seen people dunking on this thing.
I've seen
I mean, a lot of.
Whoever wrote the Pitchfork review hates this album.
Yeah,
that's my editor.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, of course, I mean, people are gonna dunk on a lot of albums, but I feel like, you know, people that write about music that I trust, I would say, I feel like there's a lot of like, you know, the music's, you know, it's fine, everything's fine, it's just not all the way there in terms of, you know, this album in terms of like what she was trying to get across. Like, again, like, if you have to tell us what you're talking about, that's a problem for me. So
yeah, you shouldn't have to explain it. You should be able to have the music speak for itself.
Yeah,
exactly. And the music, and just like speaking like solely on the music. Like it just was too samey for me to keep me like locked in for the whole album. You know what I'm saying? Like I really was like, wow, this is the same album. And this is like album, like music you want to fall asleep to, but not like in a good way though. You know what I'm saying?
It will bore you.
I don't
Sorry,
see,
Avery.
I don't think I'm not that, because again, I enjoy listening to the album. The problem is once you're done, you don't remember what you listened to because half of it blends together. That's my issue with the album. Not that it's bad. It's a good album. It just the nature of the album works against it. The whole like really low key all it makes it hard to remember, and that's what's gonna, I think, hurt it the most. And that's what I think people may forget about this in a few weeks. Even its highest high points, I don't think hold that much.
Oh yeah,
I couldn't see them being big.
I don't remember a lot of these songs.
I'm with you.
I listened to this a total of 3 times, 2 of which were for this podcast episode. So one out of curiosity, and then I was like, I'm good. And then Nnamdi texted me, hey, we're gonna review Solar Power. I was like, all right, I guess I'll
listen
to it again.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you hear it, I want to talk to you guys about this too, but like, when you review an album, like first listen, you want to give out multiple listens, but usually like a first listen, you want something that's like, oh, I want to go back and listen to that again. So let's repeat the album again. And this album is just like, I didn't get that for me. Awesome. I like the first song. I like Leader of a New Regime, but
what's everyone's favorites?
Those 2 for me. Leader of a New Regime and Big Star, because it's about her dog. So yeah.
I like The Path. I think mine is The Path.
I love Fallen Fruit a lot.
Fallen Fruit. It's been California Fallen Fruit. I'm not including singles because I like Mood Ring a lot, but
Did anybody like Stoned at the Snail Salon?
That's probably one of my least favorite.
Really? I love that song. That was my favorite single.
Oh, we got some different opinions here.
Yeah, I'm with Grant.
Wait, that's your favorite single?
Yeah, that was my favorite single.
More than Mood Ring and Solar Power.
I think.
Yeah.
Wow. That song was too low key.
That's my least favorite out of the 3.
Yeah, that might be too low key.
That might be one of my most listened to songs over the last few weeks.
Really?
Like, I really love that song.
That's so crazy. Like, that's too low key for me. Like, she was all the way stoned, man. Like, oh my god.
Oh my god. She said it's a weed album, right?
She said it. It's like Stoned at the Nail Salon.
Perfect way to sum this album up. Lorde said when it started, she was like, am I making an acid album? Which I get from Solar Power, the name of this album. And then she was like, oh no, it's a weed album. Like,
she said that.
Super like low key, relaxed. We ain't working too hard over here. Get the guitar first strumming. Let's see what happens. That's what I get.
And that's okay. That's okay.
And that's okay. That's okay.
Can we get some closing thoughts and scores here?
We got a 10 Grant in like 0.5, so we don't do like 0.2, 5, 7, 8. We're just like
do like 7.25. Like
yeah, exactly. 7.5, 8, 8.5. Yeah.
Or when a 7.3 feels too high.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh god, am I going first?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
I looked like you guys were.
I know. We were just.
Am I setting the standard with the
Yeah,
first?
Grant, you go. Grant, go. Grant, you go first.
Grant,
okay.
yeah, I kind of want you to.
I kind of want to get Grant's thoughts and then Avery last. So me and
you're the most experienced music reviewer out of all of us. So let's see what you say.
In terms of closing thoughts, I would rather listen to melodrama. Those are my closing thoughts.
Yo, Grant, straight to the point.
That's it. If I had to give this a score, like a 5.5 or probably 5.5, I guess. I don't hate it, but I will probably never willingly listen to this again.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, so there we go.
Now my answer kind of changing. Ooh, I don't
know.
I
Who's next?
can go next.
Do you know already?
I'm in a range, so I'll go first. Okay, I'll go first. Okay. Yeah, this album, I'm kind of like, I don't think all of our opinions are too far apart, other than like some of our favorite songs. But I mean, to me, this album was just very, very, very low key, very low key. there just wasn't enough change of pace for me, you know, and other than the path and like Leader of a New Regime, there just wasn't enough change of pace for me to keep me locked in. And you know, I don't think anybody's gonna say this, but I could hear somebody saying like, Noah, you like albums that always sound the same. Like, this is not a joke, but like Isaiah Rashad, the album's really samey in terms of the sound. But people are like, why do you like that? Well, it's a sound that I really listen to and I enjoy. And on top of this being a sound that doesn't appeal to me, there just wasn't enough change of pace for me to enjoy it as much. But I don't think it's bad. I think there was some good lyrics on here. Like I said, I really like Big Star. I thought that was a great song about her dog. But yeah, man, the mood was just too low key for me. And what she was talking about wasn't clear enough to kind of hit home of like, oh, she's talking about this, so the music doesn't matter. So for me, I'm between a 5.5 and a 6. But I'm gonna give it a 6. I don't feel like I hate it much as Grant, but I won't go back to this, honestly. I won't go back. Actually, nah. This is tough. This is tough.
No, I already added a 6 to the calculator. You have to eat that.
Oh, you got a calculator?
Yeah,
the
Nnamdi's
average score.
5.5. I'm there. Final score. 5.5. Final score.
You know I'm not good at math, so I still got to use a calculator to add those two up.
5.5. That's.
You know, okay.
11.
So the reason why I wanted to wait was because I was like, am I being too nice to this album? Because again, I think this is a good album. It just has zero impact. Like, it makes no noise. That's the issue with it, right? But listening to it, I didn't not enjoy listening to the album. There was enough to keep me going. I thought it, because by its nature, I think it's a good repeat background album. I had it on while I was working, not working out, working at my job. So it was just perfect.
Seek us from a girl.
But I think ultimately my feelings boiled down to the theme, the nature, the concept of this album are also some of, I think, the biggest cons, because by making this sort of really relaxed album, it just isn't memorable. And I don't think it commits to the concept of solar power as much as like Lorde wants us to think it does, unfortunately. But again, I like listening to it. So I was between a 6 and a 6.5. But my two colleagues here gave it a 5.5. I think I'm still gonna go 6.5 because I really don't think it's a bad album. What's the Pitchfork thing? At 6.5 is like, people will talk about it for the year. I could do that. I could feel comfortable with that.
We're not Pitchfork.
But we will be one day. How about that?
Honestly, I'm just thinking about working out to this album, and that sounds miserable.
Gosh, literally. Avery.
I was underwhelmed by this album. I thought it was cool. It's probably my least favorite Lorde album up to this point. But yeah, I echo all of y'all's sentiments. Like the concept's pretty flimsy. It's pretty hard to understand like what she's doing as the album goes on. But that being said, I do like some of the sounds that she has on here when I am listening to them, and I do like some of the songs. And I'm gonna keep listening to it just because I'm a fan of Lorde and I like her voice. So my final score is a 6.5.
Oh my gosh!
So 2 5.5 and 2 6.5.
Wow!
Basically, you gave it a 6. Yeah,
and I'm okay with that. I'm very content cool with us giving Lorde a 6.
I'm happy about that. Yeah, I was gonna ask you if you're gonna go back to this, and I'm glad that you're saying you are, because you are a big fan. So
I may be lying. You guys know I'd be lying if I said no. So
well, it's interesting because Avery says he's underwhelmed, and we asked Avery, "How do you feel about it?" He said, "I liked it," and I was like, me and Nnamdi were like, "Oh, really?"
Because like I liked it. It's the underwhelming album I liked. That's the problem. Grant, thank you again for like the insight and the perspective. Every time you join us for a review, I feel like it becomes a better review. No shade.
I think I learned something.
Thank you. It's always fun coming on here. So
hopefully maybe next time. I really want to do a rock reviews. Maybe next time you have an album you really like and you want to talk about it on the pod, we'll force ourselves to listen. We'll do it.
Yeah, just text us. Let us know.
Yeah, just let us know.
Yeah,
wait, before we end the review though, is there anything else on the horizon you can give us a little little music journalist insight to, and give us a little razzle dazzle about?
Razzle dazzle. Like just like what I'm working on right now, or
What are you working on? Anything coming through that we can know? One time you're here, you told us Brent Baez was dropping a song like in 2 weeks. So
we knew before a lot of people. Yeah.
Is there any exclusive?
Yeah. Right. I have some pieces coming out about the new Low album, about Hurry Up We're Dreaming, the M83, that 10th anniversary. I got one coming out about that. There might be a James Blake thing in the works.
Ooh.
We'll see.
Whoa.
I'm not confirmed yet, but
You're talking our language right there.
Oh, now you're speaking my language.
that comes out very soon.
Now you're speaking my language.
Yeah. So
Hey Grant, do you have an album of the year so far? Like, can you clearly name one?
it might be the Japanese Breakfast.
I agree.
Oh, Avery.
Yeah.
I'm right there.
Okay, I'm gonna try again. I'll try it again. Okay.
If that could be my project of the week every week,
You don't
it
like
would
it?
be.
Not that I don't like it. It's just not. I think
Not for
it's
you.
a different. It's a different vibe from what I'm used to.
Gotcha.
But I find that even a lot of times when I feel that way about a song, which in this case this was a song I heard and I was like, hey, not for me. When I listen to the album itself, I feel better about it. Like I get it a little bit more. So I'll try.
I think
Because Avery loves that album.
Grant and I both read the book too, and I think I
Yeah.
feel like Michelle's like my best friend after reading that book and listening to the album. So
I know. Yeah, that was probably my favorite book I've read
Yeah,
all year
it's
too.
so good.
Yeah, Grant, that was a great tweet where he's like, she released one of the best books and albums of the year. I think you said something along those lines. You tweeted that.
Yeah, I did, because she currently has my album of the year and my book of the year so far. So
Okay, I'm gonna
she's
read the
killing
book,
it.
too.
She's
That's a
amazing.
talented person. You got to get the book and album. Nnamdi.
I know, I got you right.
The
Yeah.
book is so good. You can appreciate the book if you don't like the album separately. Like
The book really isn't even about her music.
no, at all. It's fantastic.
You know what, Grant? Just finish the show with us. Let's just, use it. You're a full-fledged guest host this week. What do we have? Just charts? We can do that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Prediction. So when this episode drops, apparently the number one on the Billboard 200 will be Olivia Rodrigo, boosted by a huge surge of vinyl sales.
Vinyl. There you go. Vinyl. There you go.
Okay. Grant, the joke there is I say it wrong all the time, so I have to think every single time I say the word vinyl, because I will say vinyl and embarrass myself. Anyway.
Oh.
So
Yeah, I was like,
that'll be
what do you mean?
apparently she sold so many vinyls that she has the second biggest release week of the modern era. I'm pretty sure number one is still Taylor Swift, probably. And yeah, you're also going to get Aaliyah in the top 10 apparently, which is pretty exciting. Her One of the Million album, which was really released on streaming platforms, never actually hit number 10 when it was released back in 2001. So now, or 1996. So now 25 years later, it's finally in the top 10, which is pretty cool. Lorde also expected to debut at number 3. I don't remember what Melodrama did, but I still feel like number 3, the third best album in the world, is pretty. It's an achievement. So big shout out to her as well. Any surprises? Not really. I feel like all that makes sense.
No surprises. So, yeah.
Also the 20th anniversary of Aaliyah's death was last Saturday, y'all. Or wait,
Yeah.
it was Friday. It was this week. Very sad.
This is
Rest in peace.
yeah, I think it was this past week. I think she was 22 or 21 when she died.
Yeah.
I
Really
really thinking
young.
about it for work. I've been doing a ton of Aaliyah segments lately, and it's like,
Yeah.
now I feel like I've gone. We're not. That's another episode. Sorry, I can't go down
Yeah,
that rabbit
I don't
hole.
blame you.
But
Yeah.
I mean, she was 22 and it was like it's very,
She
very
was
tragic.
So young.
Yeah,
Like
very,
her
very
entire
young.
care's It's kind of bizarre, but
She was just getting started. She was gonna be she was a movie star. She was in that, Romeo Almost
Honestly,
Died. That was
I
one
don't
of
want
my
to
favorite
I don't
movies.
want to put this on her, but like it seemed like she was like on a Beyonce level trajectory, like what Beyonce is now. Like that's what she could have been.
I've heard
tough.
that, and the way I feel about it, I think Beyonce still be Beyonce if Aaliyah's here. I think Aaliyah more so occupied a lane that like a Rihanna got to jump into, or like a
That's
Sierra
fair.
maybe. Like,
I don't like to say if Aaliyah exists, Beyonce wouldn't exist. Like I just feel like they all could have
I
existed
think they all could
together.
exist.
Yeah.
I'm just saying like
Yeah.
she would have been like on that
well,
level. Like,
from an optimistic standpoint, I'd love to say that, but unfortunately, the music industry in 2000 was kind of horrible.
True.
So,
True. Yeah,
It still is horrible.
Yeah, it still
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah.
But we live in a world, Rihanna can do her thing. We have all these great artists.
Absolutely.
Beyonce, Cardi B, Megan, all these, great R&B and rap artists can occupy the same space. So yeah, rest in peace, Aaliyah.
Rest in peace, Leah. Then I think I don't even know if we have to go here on the Hot 100. Rumors debuted at number 4, which is pretty good. Bad Habits hit a new peak of number 2. Leading me to ask, is pop back? Because right now the first like top 10, the entire top 10, I'm pretty sure is pop songs. Which this time last year I was talking about how rap was like the new most popular. Like, it's not new. It's just has been the most popular genre, and right now we're seeing a resurgence in like huge pop acts and songs, which I think is pretty cool.
Pop's had a good year.
Pop has had a good year.
Yeah.
Pop has had a good year.
Last year too, I felt like there was a lot of great pop music.
You're right. I agree. There was a lot of great pop music.
Absolutely.
It was just like rap is just so like so much music out. It's like
Mhm.
it just it takes over. Just
Dua
I
Lipa
haven't
did
heard that
her
many
moment.
rap releases this year. I've
Yeah,
heard the Tyler Vince, Boldy James albums, the Mac Hami, and
I got a list for you, bro.
I mean, if you heard those,
yeah, you
I
guys
feel like you got a lot of the big ones.
much more
You
knowledgeable
listen.
than I am.
You listen to the good ones though. Those are all good. So those are good ones.
Wait, listen to the Off Season by J. Cole.
I haven't.
He didn't mention that for a
Yeah,
reason.
yes, I know.
I see. Wow, it's okay. It's
He
fine.
didn't mention that for a reason. That's a good album. I'm
Fine.
joking. That's a good album. I'm
Cool.
joking.
I haven't heard it, so
Avery, I'm down to skip the Billboard 200. Nothing crazy happened. I was wrong. I thought Doja Cat was gonna get her first number 1 at the Billboard 200. She didn't. Billie Eilish is still running that chart. It's cool. Shout out to Billie. Happier Than Ever is a great album.
Steady success for Doja.
That is a
though.
good album.
Steady though.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, that Billie
Um,
album's great.
And then project of the week. My project of the week is the single. Tennis
Wow.
Shoes is a band from my friend Alex
Shout out-
Tifo and
shout out
some of his
Alex.
college friends. They make great music, but this single is like really good. It's like a perfect summery song. It's very much so like K Tronada-ish, like Anderson Paak-ish, but it's a really good sound. So definitely check them out. Maybe
a
they'll be
single?
on the podcast one day soon. It is a single. They also have an album though that was good.
Wow.
God, I'm trying to remember the name of it. They dropped an album, and it was like a good album.
Interesting.
I think
It's
I
good.
actually had
I
it.
can vouch. It is good. It is good.
So
I'm
based
like-
off that, you said K Tronada. Is it like electronic? Or is
Well,
it rap?
not electronic. It's like I say K Tronada because there's a K Tronada song in my head that this song reminds me of, but it's more like summery, like a booming beat, like a fun type of thing. I don't know how else I'm
He
not
did not give me a genre. He did not give me a genre.
I told it's like pop rap, like rap pop.
Okay, that's
Rap
interesting.
pop.
Shout out to
Pop rap.
Alex. He was on the
Shout out
Isaiah
to
Rashad
Alex.
review. Yeah,
And Interior is the name of their album, so y'all should check that out. It's a great album.
dope. My project of the week was Inslee by Pink Sifu, who is a rapper from Alabama. Yeah, I mean, great artist.
I just
mean-
know you go out of your way to find an underground. Like
I
this-
don't-
I get
no,
that you're
let me
being-
t-
I
let me
don't-
tell
I
you-
don't-
let
I-
me tell you-
no,
let me
listen,
tell you
I
why.
don't believe you. I know,
No,
but I
let
don't
me-
believe you.
let me
I
tell you
don't
why.
believe you.
Okay, and I'm
I
gonna
don't
still
believe
get,
you.
and we're not gonna do this where I don't get my point across. Let me tell you why. I get into a thing where like I listen to artists I naturally listen to, like Earl, and Pink Sifu was on the, and some people are like, oh, I should listen to their music, but I actually go. So Earl has a lot of these artists like Maxo and Pink Sifu and Navy Blue have been on their albums, and I was like,
yeah.
oh,
Mhm.
Navy Blue, exactly. Oh, wow. Thanks.
There you go.
Thanks, Grant.
Yeah.
There we
And
go.
Mike
There we go.
and
Yeah, Mike.
he's on the Mac Hami album. too. Yeah.
There you go. Thank you, Grant. Thank you.
Okay.
So I actually go and
Fine.
go into the discography and listen to their music. So Pink Sifu was an artist that caught my interest. He released an album this year, actually, Gumbo, which is actually pretty good. But Inslee's 2018 effort is something I enjoyed. So there we go.
All right, my project of the week is When I Get Home by Solange. It's
Hell
just one of
yeah.
my favorite albums.
Oh,
It's so good.
good.
It's like comfort.
I remember
listening.
when that came out of nowhere.
It's just so good. Solange is so talented. Big fan. So,
I
yeah.
was
Grant,
listening
do you
to
have?
Solange's like earlier albums? Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You-
Yeah.
Grant, do you have like a project of the week? We didn't ask you, but
Uh,
I put you on the
well,
spot.
Off the top of my head, it will. I'm gonna make it a tie between Turnstile's "Glow On" and the new record from Indigo to Sousa, "Any Shape You Take." Two strong album of the year contenders for me.
Wow.
Have you guys heard Indigo to Sousa? It came
No,
out on
sir.
Friday. It was produced by Brad Cook, who also produced Bon Iver's 22 A Million and I. And she signed to Saddle Creek, and she recorded the album in like Sylvan Esso's Chapel Hill studios. And this is a very solid indie rock album. Like if you just love indie rock, like it is literally that, and it is like the most like refined like version of that. Like just the songwriting's really good, production's really good, like and the variation of the songs too. Like in particular, the song "Hold You" and "Pretty Pictures" are my two favorites.
Great.
We'll listen right after this.
Grant, can you send me your favorite song from each and I'll put it on our playlist?
Yeah, I can do that.
Perfect. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess that's it. Thank you. This has been a longer episode, but I think a very great one, a substantive one, a nuanced one, perhaps.
Let's give all let's get the plugs in. So follow us on Twitter at the 97 Demo. Follow us on Instagram at the 97 Demo. Follow our newsletter. We already saw some email signups. Okay,
which is very exciting.
I got
very excited.
Shout out to the 10 people
right now.
Shout out to the 10 people who signed up the minute I tweeted that link. I saw
exactly. So a lot of people, we looked at the stats. A lot of people read newsletters. I'm our newsletter. So thanks, guys. We're gonna keep doing that. So yeah. What else is that?
We're gonna keep on if you see any of this up in your perspective, tweet us, please.
Tweet us.
I'm always curious what people think about stuff. Let us know.
Exactly.
Signing up right now.
Thanks. There you go.
Wow.
There you go.
Go.
Live playlist, 97 Demo playlist. So we got things going on. So yeah.
On Spotify and Apple Music, and definitely check out all of Grant's work too. He has a portfolio, but you can follow him on Twitter at Grant Sharples and see all that stuff. And he actually has he's in the deep in the music journalist world. Yeah. So that's a good follow. Y'all should get on that.
And if you don't like music, he has great tweets. So
there you go.
If you just look at his tweets, he has great tweets. Just scroll through and look at the tweets.
But all right, y'all. Thank y'all for watching, and we will talk to you next week.